I mean, this is the name of the game, insulin sensitivity. I've been working with diabetics since the late 90s. The lower my weight can go, the faster I can go. Carbohydrates are king. I mean, especially when you're on the juice, you're on a cycle, your glycogen retention, your glycogen partitioning is amazing. So I think the whole notion of calories in, calories out, it's got some premise, but it's, in my opinion, it's highly inaccurate, and it creates this focus of calories versus macros and hormones. You can't get fat on this protocol. I don't recommend cheat meals. My philosophy is learn to love the foods that love you back. Every day could be your last day on the planet. Like, let's maximize it.
I was just talking to my producer, and we're like, we think this is like the first vegan on the show.
Nice.
We had some retired vegans. We've had Paul Saladino and some other people on the show.
Yeah.
But this is our first go with this. But anyway, I just wanted to, we'll just kick this thing off by saying at Durianrider, you are the OG of a lot of this space where people are talking about very, very low to moderate amounts of fat, and also, consuming tons of sugar as your main source of energy. Not the first guy to do it. There's other people that, run off of a lot of sugar and stuff. But I think the way that you've been communicating about it is quite different than what people have been used to. How did you end up on the particular diet that you're on nowadays?
So we're started now?
Yep. Yes, sir.
All right, we're good. Okay, so how did I start? Yeah, just want to, thanks for having me on, man. First of all, it's great to get in contact there. How did I start? Just with cycling, running, performances, and just looking for ways to increase performance and without getting sick, things like that. So it's just and just talking with coaches and looking at different runners, what they eat, the Kenyans, etc., pro cyclists, Lance Armstrong, etc., back in the day, decades ago, and then coming to the conclusion that sugar's your friend, and fat and protein, as a cyclist and runner looking to be super lightweight, super lean, they don't really help you at all. But if you get too lean, they can help put weight back on you. And then just tweaking it with them. And then the vegan thing, and having digestive issues myself, having like bloating and cramping and colitis, Crohn's, just, bad, really, really bad digestion, going to the doctors, and they're like, I think you got Crohn's, I think you got colitis. We don't really know, but you're shitting blood, that's not good, but I'll just take this drug. And I'm just like, no, there's got to be something going on here. So just tweaking diet, and been a diet tweaker for decades.
And did you notice some big improvements in your performance and performance of some people that you started to coach and mentor, kind of as soon as they started to switch to more of the diet that you're doing?
First day, bro, the first day as a cyclist, you're riding the same routes, and you just first hill, you just notice, man, my legs feel better, my breathing's easier, there's something going on here. And all the dietitians and nutritionists say there's nothing about your diet, and it's like, no, there's something going on here. When I cut out the animal products, the dairy and the meats, etc., and then increase the sugars as well, it's just like something's going on here. So yeah, you just like yourself being a power athlete, strength athlete, what you can bench or deadlift or squat or whatever. You got numbers, and that's the power of being an athlete. Is you got numbers, and your numbers are getting better. You're like, okay, there's something's going on here. So I think everybody needs to be an athlete, whatever your ability, because when you're an athlete, you're using numbers, and those numbers don't lie. Assuming you got accurate weights, plates, or an accurate power meter. But, yeah.
I've seen a bunch of your videos, and sometimes you'll have protein and powder in the background and stuff like that, and you'll mention protein here and there. So I'm imagining you're taking in some protein. Protein is important to some degree, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was doing an experiment for a while there. I was doing an anabolic steroid experiment. I was trying to get up to 90 kilos, and so I was doing protein powders and Tren and Deca and D-Bol and all sorts of things. Now I've cut off that, and I'm back down to 69 kilos, obviously. But so I'm a tweaker. I'm an experimenter for sure. So, and that's why I can speak with such conviction, because I do things, and I put it onto myself first, and then other people who want a similar goal, I'll tell them, okay, do this, don't do that. So I find now I'm trying to get lighter weight again, so I'm cutting my protein and fat right down to the bare minimum, and it's having great results. So I've set some PRs running and cycling this year, a 5,000 meter running, and some of the local cycling climbs. So yeah,
seems like protein and fat can be disruptive of our insulin sensitivity, and that's something it's become on my radar more recently, especially the protein side of things. I did not really. I have to admit, I did not. That was a blind spot for me.
Yeah.
When it comes to fat, I did learn a couple years back that I really need to cut the fat down, as I was someone that was being very low carb and was someone, predominantly eating meat. I'm like, I cannot consume this amount of fat and still lose weight. In fact, sometimes I would gain weight if I didn't watch how much, what I was eating.
Yeah.
But with what you're doing, chopping out the fat, chopping out the protein, it seems that it increases your insulin sensitivity. You become more sensitive to insulin and utilize that energy more efficiently.
Definitely. It's so true. I mean, this is the name of the game, insulin sensitivity. I've been working with diabetics since the late 90s, and that's how I learned about insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance. It's like, like I went to bed last night about 2 a.m. I got up at like 4:40 a.m., so I had a couple of hours sleeps. And when you've got insulin sensitivity, your brain just works a lot better. When you have insulin resistance, you're sort of like, what's going on here? Fogginess. But the insulin sensitivity is blocked by excess dietary fat and protein. And what is excess dietary fat and protein? It's individual, but for me, it's it's such a clear-cut thing that anyone can experiment with. You can get one of those CGM glucose meters on your arm, and you can tweak your diet, and you can see, when you throw some carbohydrate there, what happens to your fasting sugars or your postnatal sugars, etc., or your sugars after you've eaten some carbohydrate there. After your high-fat diet, you can see how the insulin resistance kicks in. Then there's guys like Harold Hemsworth, who deserves a deep dive. Harold Hemsworth, the founder of insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity definitions there, type 1 versus type 2 diabetes. He's like probably the greatest person ever on diabetic research. And his conclusion was, fat and protein in excess, bad. You want to increase insulin sensitivity, then decrease your fat and protein as much as you can. So that's what I mean. We live in an amazing time. I mean, look at this. I'm in a park here in Australia. You're in California, and we're just talking over some sort of internet connection over the ether. And then we have these things we can stick in our arm and measure our blood sugar. It's like we just live in amazing technology, and I think everyone out there should just incorporate some of this technology to enhance their quality of life and health. It's crazy. It's a trip. But you can ask me any questions, by the way. Nothing's off record.
The video got a little bit choppy there, but
Okay.
So you're also someone that has dabbled in performance-enhancing drugs. Is that something that you still utilize here and there?
Definitely, I've had a lot of experience with PEDs, and I've definitely had a lot of experience being totally natural. Like, I wouldn't even touch caffeine or even chocolate, cacao, theobromine, all the way to like running tren and tests. So I've definitely done my experiments, and I've worked with a lot of athletes as well who have also ran PEDs, from paracetamol to modafinil. So that's why I can speak with confidence as well on just the benefits of nutrition. As a cyclist and runner, you get way more performance out of tweaking your diet than taking even something like EPO. I've never used EPO, but I've got friends who have used it, and that's like a very, very, very powerful drug, because you can stay super skinny on EPO and get that massive hemoglobin boost. But in terms of something what I'm doing now, then no, I've had to cut out the anabolics, and because they just promote so much weight gain, which is great if you're into the gym, but it's bad if you're into cycling and running. So we'll see guys like Lance Armstrong who would take a bit of testosterone to help with recovery. But for me, I find that I'm not doing enough training to really justify that. So for me right now, full natty status is better than being on a cycle or something like that. Yeah. Because
being someone
the lower my weight can go, the faster I can go. And having testosterone in my system, or tren or deca or whatever, D-bol, it promotes weight gain, and it prevents weight loss. So it's not something I'm doing at the moment as a routine. In the future, who knows?
Being someone that tweaks the diet and experiments so much, have you run into some situations where you maybe went too far, like too little protein, too little fat, or did you end up with breaking a bone or tearing a muscle or something because you just maybe went a little too far in one direction. Not so much with your training, but maybe with the diet.
Yeah, nah. I've never encountered that, and I've never encountered anyone else who's done that. Because another thing as well is I really, you know, if I ever use stimulants, I use them incredibly sparingly. So I think as a cardio athlete, it's almost impossible to overtrain if you're not using stims or you're really minimal using stimulants, because you just be tired that day. You go, oh man, I just need to sleep. You know, I need to rest. I need to chill. I got no mojo to go smash out some mountains or whatever. So you just chill. But when you're on stims every day, that's when you can burn out. So I find that if you're not using stimulants or you're using them very, very minimal, you can't really burn out, because your body will just tell you, hey, just chill, just have a recovery day or a week or a month or whatever. So I've never encountered any athlete that I've worked with who's had a problem from eating too little fat or protein, performance-wise. But body weight-wise, yeah, you can, like some of the girls I've worked with, ballerinas and dancers, then yeah, you can start to sort of tread on the eating disordered eating sort of realm, where your body mass index is going under 18, and then your ovulation, your menstruation stops. So now your estrogen's going too low. So those girls have got to add in some avocados, some fats to restore their body fat. So they're starting to ovulate and estrogen goes up again. So that's an issue if you're a girl, is your estrogen can go too low, because you start, as a girl, you start getting abs. You start looking like a guy, your abs just come out, pop. So then your estrogen is generally too low. So I would say stop doing my protocols then and increase the fat, decrease the training, and your cycle will come back. But as a guy, nah, you know, it's pretty crazy. It's almost scary how skinny you can get and still be performing really, 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 really well.
We've talked with Cole quite a bit, and I've been talking about this, sugar fast or sugar diet type thing with a lot of people. And I know that you run it a little bit differently. It sounds like you also eat and consume quite a bit of starch. So if someone's going to kind of follow your protocol, the Durianrider protocol, what does that look like?
Well, yeah, shout out to Cole, Snake Diet. I've been watching him for a while. He's got that energy, he's got that character. And then to hear him talk promoting sugar, I was just like, yeah, this is great, because he's a great spruiker. My protocols is basically, heavy on the fruit and sugars, maple syrup, lollies, whatever you got, juices we're drinking here. And then at night time I have starches. I personally can't wake up and have starch. I find it too heavy. But at night time, like white rice is my go-to. White rice with sugar and water. White rice with some soy sauce or ketchup, some vegetables, for sure. I've got to have white rice at night time, or oats or corn or potato. But white rice is the king there. Pasta, yeah. Pizza, yeah. But white rice, that's the boss in my opinion. So that's my protocols is, sugar, fruit, white rice, super low fat, super low protein. But again, depends what someone's goal is, because some of the guys I coach, they're running cycles of Tren, they're on Deca, and they want to put the numbers up. So I'm like, yeah, we'll chuck in some protein powder there for sure. So it depends what the person's goal is, but I'd say 99% of my people I work with, their goal is they want to lose weight, and I work mostly with the women and athletes, cardio athletes, runners, cyclists, dancers, and fighters as well, some UFC guys, and their goal generally is weight loss without going crazy in the head.
If someone wants to gain a little bit of weight, what do you usually have them do? You mentioned protein, but do you have them bring the fats up a little bit too?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like if you want to be like, a lean gain, where you want to just, but it's still carbohydrates are king. I mean, because especially when you're on the juice, on a cycle, your glycogen retention, your glycogen partitioning is amazing. Like when I use Tren, it's like, man, this shit's amazing. Like I just eat like a pack of jelly beans and you can just feel your muscles just pumping up. It's crazy. And then the Tren as well, like dropping your blood sugar, because you're just sucking up all the sugar you can eat, just getting sucked into your muscles. So I would say that, protein's important for weight gain, and so is fat, but it depends what the look someone's going for. If someone's trying to just get the best out of Tren, then why eat any fat? Because the fat you eat's the fat you wear, so then you have to go and burn it off. So I'd say, increase the protein, just experiment.
When
But
it
yeah,
comes
just
to Tren, have you ever tried to like microdose it, like take like
yeah.
minor amounts to kind of
Oh
get
yeah, yeah.
some good benefit without the negatives?
Bingo. Yeah, like I think even like 10 milligram of tren a week is going to create some performance enhancing benefits in a cyclist and runner for sure. Tren is like, tren is it's a drug that's easily, I think, tested for if you're in the USADA protocols or with doping control. But yeah, tren is amazing for cyclists, amazing for a runner because it just gives you this. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't know. But these people say, "Oh, tren's bad for cardio." It's like, yeah, maybe if you're running like 305 milligrams a week, but if you're doing a microdose of tren, like I can just see all these athletes. I'm like, if I put some tren into you, if I gave you 50 milligrams of tren on the start line, you are setting a PR that day. Like you are just gonna monster it, man, and you're gonna come home just monstering at home. Just yeah. So tren is, I understand why tren's so popular. I'm not promoting tren, by the way, gang, but I just saying. Just saying.
In Australia, is TRT popular? Like in the United States, like there's TRT clinics everywhere, and it's not hard to get some
Um,
TRT.
yeah, it's gaining traction here. It's super easy to get. It's so cheap here. So 750 milligrams of testosterone anthate from Bayer is around $40 Australian. What's that? US $30 USD for 750 milligram. Comes in 3 1 mil packs. Super easy to get. Every chemist has it, every pharmacy has it here in Australia or can get it in. So yeah, but it's not really talked about here in Australia. But it's definitely common. And once you've used juice, you look around and say, "Oh, you're on juice too. Oh, you're on juice too." You can see it. So it's gaining traction. For me though, I've never actually used TRT. I've just either ran cycles or I've been off. So that's why I'm a bit of an anomaly there as well. I guess because once you're on TRT, I don't think it's good if you're a cyclist runner because it would promote excess weight gain. But if you did a few cycles here and there or some microdosing, then maybe, yeah. But otherwise, I think for cyclists and runners, TRT at a competitive level, I don't think it's going to be advantageous because it will just make your weight too high. Because in cycling, if you can lose a kilo, like 2 pounds, that's huge performance benefit. Just 2 pounds. It can be the difference between first place and 10th on a climb. So same with a runner. Like, if you can lose 2 pounds, and keep the same performance, that's huge. So that's where, yeah, it's interesting topics.
What about somebody like Lance Armstrong? What was Lance Armstrong using, like EPO and growth hormone and stuff like that, probably, or insulin, maybe?
Yeah, I've never talked to Lance about it. He knows who I am. Obviously, everyone knows who he is. Lance, the man. Generally, I find pro cyclists don't really talk about their doping stuff that openly these days, especially. But Lance, from what it was reported, EPO, growth hormone, testosterone. But I remember interviews where Lance said growth hormone was just pointless, and the best was really just EPO. And I would agree that the performance benefits I've seen, EPO is the king. Like nothing, increasing your hemoglobin, like that's the thing. Cortisone, like prednisone, yeah, they give you amazing breathing capacity and pain tolerance. But end of the day, that can just be mental as well. So, but red blood cells, that's as an athlete of cardiovascular, focus, nothing beats red blood cell boost. And insulin, yeah, that's just got, I think, maybe for recovery purposes, but even then, that's pretty dangerous territory. And again, insulin being anabolic, I would advise against it for sure. For sure. So the only thing I'd recommend would be the oxygen vector doping products, such as, not recommending it, I'm just saying that's what would be ideal. EPO, etc. Blood doping. Red blood cells. Red blood cells is the name of the game. Because you can get the best runner in the world and you pull out a quart of blood from them, I'm going to beat them that day. And I'm just a weekend warrior hack. That's how powerful blood is. You could pull a quart of blood out of Kipchoge and I'm probably going to beat him. Okay. On that day. Isn't that crazy? Best runner out there for the marathon.
I've seen you having some shakes, some like smoothies that have like 2,200 calories and stuff like that. I'm sure that you have experimented with like counting your calories and paying attention. Like, what's the upward limit for you? Like, if you're having that in one shot, You know, like how many calories can you handle before you start to gain weight?
What I find, I don't count my calories, but yeah, I've counted calories in the past, but today I don't. I just eat. I'm just like, well, it's like sleep. Like if I'm tired, I get a nap. Um, we live in such an interesting society where we count calories and stuff like that. We're taught that. Like this drink I got here, it says on the side the calories and all this stuff, and this marketed like low in calories, and just we have this calories in, out focus. When how much is in the food, I don't even know. Like when I make my banana smoothie, I might put 10 bananas, 20 bananas, 30 bananas in a smoothie and just pour sugar in there and then taste it. Like, yeah, that's good. Let's drink that. How many calories in it? I don't know. But yeah, maybe 2,000, maybe 1,500, maybe 3,000. I don't know. How many calories is in the actual food? Can we really accurately measure that? Okay, let's say we can. But with fruit, it's hard because you've got the ripeness and stuff like that. How much sugar is actually in the fruit because of the ripeness and the sunshine and the starch, etc. And let's say you can measure calories. Can we measure how much we actually absorb and digest and burn consistently and accurately? I'd say we can't do that. So I think the whole notion of calories in, calories out, I mean, yeah, it's got some premise, but it's, in my opinion, it's highly inaccurate, and it creates this focus of calories versus macros and hormones. Hormones determine our weight. Because I could run 2 grams of juice a week and be living on 1,000 calories a day, and I'm still going to gain weight. And my body's going to change. I'm going to have some differences there, and vice versa. So how much calories do I eat in a day? I don't record that, but I have in the past. And you can't get fat on this protocol. Because your body just goes, I'm just done eating. I'm like, blah, rice, ugh, no more today. I'm done. But fruit, I'm gagging. Like, ugh. So these fruits, these foods, the fruits, the shoots, the roots, the starches, etc., they're very bland, and so you can only eat what you need of them. Bit of soy sauce on your rice, bit of ketchup. So they're self-limiting. So you don't have to worry about counting calories. But at the start, you might want to count calories just to go, wow, I actually need to eat more than I thought I did because I have 2 bananas and I'm full. But that's only 200 calories. So I would say, if you're going to eat 1,000 calories per meal, roughly, at the start, you can sort of start to ballpark and maybe not feel guilty for eating such a volume of food, because the foods I recommend are quite low in calories per bite. So you have to eat more of those to fill up. So you might be eating a plate of rice and it's quite big, and your family member's like, wow, you're eating so much food. And say, yeah, well, Mum, I'm eating this rice and vegetables, but I used to eat 3 Big Macs for dinner, and that's a lot more calories, but small volume. Oh, okay, we'll carry on, son. So understanding calories can be good as just to sort of understand how much food you actually do need to eat on this lifestyle. But otherwise, stop counting calories, in my opinion. Unless you're an athlete and you're wanting to make sure you have enough sugar per hour. Now I see World Tour riders, Tour de France riders I talk with and advise consuming 150 to 250 grams of sugar an hour. 250 up to 250 grams of sugar an hour, some guys are doing. So only a few years ago, people said, 90 grams of sugar is the limit. Now you got some guys doing 200, 250 an hour. So, and where did they learn that? They didn't learn that from nutritionists who went to university. They learned that from me. And they tweaked it themselves. They're like, well, 200 is good, but I find 250 is better in cold weather. I just burn more sugar. So I'm like, 250, go for it. Never, ever limit your sugar intake in a day. So, yeah. Don't eat more than you can lift, but eat as much as you want when it comes to sugar.
I would say that's a great rule to have, is to just not really, limit yourself. And I think that most diets are very limiting. But on this plan, it seems like you can get in, a wide variety of foods, and you're taking in a lot of sugar, and you have a lot of extra energy because of all the energy that you're consuming. On your plan, do you advocate, or do you communicate to people a little bit, like have some days that are free as well, like where you can kind of eat a little bit more of whatever you want? I know you're vegan, so it pigeonholes you a little bit into a certain category of what you can eat, but do you allow for like a cheat day type of thing? Are you a fan of stuff like that, or not really?
Great question, Mark. Depends what the goal is. Again, most of the people I work with, weight loss base, cyclists, runners, housewives, single mum with 5 kids, 2 autistic, you know, or the dad bro who wants to lose a dad bod and see some abs again. So I'm like, a cheat meal, I don't recommend cheat meals. I recommend, in my philosophy is learn to love the foods that love you back. And, you know, the other day I went and had a vegan burger and fries, and I'm still a bit nasally from that. It's like I haven't had that for like 5-6 months almost. So, you know, it's, and I had that just as like a friend wanted to try one out, so I bought a couple of burgers. There was like this 2-for-1 deal. So I had the burger, and it's fine, but it's, you know, I was like, yeah, this is not really performance food, is it? I don't recommend that. I recommend, you know, just doing what works. Just locking in on your goal. Like locking in on your goal. If your goal is weight gain, then yeah, having these you know, these normal foods is going to help you with weight gain for sure. But if your goal is weight loss, fat loss, then for me, the cheat meal of having some, you know, fatty burger and fries, vegan or not, because I mean the vegan diet now is just so freaking easy. You can get everything vegan these days. You know, I don't recommend the cheat days. I recommend all in, 100% all in. So you get, you know, your goal done faster. It's like work. If you want to build a fence with bricks, should you take a day off? I mean, you can if you want, but it's just going to take longer to do the fence, isn't it? So I just recommend all in. And the good thing about this lifestyle is there's no calorie restriction. You're not hungry. Like I see these people, some of these girls I coach, and they've done a bikini comp, and they tell me what they used to eat, and I'm like, did you want to stab someone? Like, you must have been so hangry. No, like, my relationship got destroyed. I'm like, yeah, fuck that. You know? The heck with that. And and then the girls do what I'm doing, what I recommend to do, and they're like, wow, my mood's still good. I'm like, the leanest ever, and my mood is still good. Like, thank you. I've still got my libido. I've still got my boyfriend. I've still got my husband. I'm still a good mum. And I'm like, yeah. And that's another thing we talk about. There's so much emphasis on weight loss, but what about your psychology? What about your mood? Like, I'm a douchebag without enough carbohydrates, you know, without enough water and stuff. Like, you're getting dry and you get all red face and you're in traffic and stuff. Like, life's meant to be sweet. So that's a huge one. We can talk all about weight loss and stuff and what's the best for weight loss, but what's the best for mood? Like, when you're on carbohydrate, your cortisol's manageable because, you know, sugar lowers cortisol, lowers your stress hormone, so you can just be more chill. So I've had situations where I've been first on scene to fatalities. You know, I've had crashes myself, and I'm just like, give me the sugar. You know, I'll just crack out some maple syrup, some jelly beans, boom, in, just to lower the cortisol. Okay, there's a dead guy on the road in front of me. What do I do? You know, give me some sugar. Let me process the situation. So it's just I got ambulance workers doing my protocols, and like, man, like, work is just so much less stressful. I go in and see a decapitated body in a car wreck, and I can process it a lot better. Before, I'd be running on caffeine, and I'd come to this crash scene, and I'm just like freaking out and getting PTSD. So sugars is so important for stress management. It's critical. So cheat days, nah. Just every day could be your last day on the planet. Like, let's maximize it. But again, it depends what your goal is. If its goal is to be weight loss, let's just lock in and just eat. You get to eat as much carbohydrate as you want. So you're not starving. You're not going to bed hungry. Never go to bed hungry. Get some carbs in. So yeah, get some lollies in, some Sour Patch Kids, whatever, like some fruit with sugar on top. That's why, yeah, the adherence to this lifestyle is so easy because you're not going hungry. When you're going hungry, that's when the problems come up. Like, I had 2 hours sleep, whatever, last night. I'm going to get a nap later on because eventually my body's going, hey, we need some more sleep. So I wouldn't crank some stimulants, stay awake. I'll get a nap, let my body recharge. So cheat meals is when people are starving themselves. And if you're craving a cheat meal, then I'm going to say that you're probably not eating a carbohydrate. So eat more carbs, and you'll find that cheat meal, don't want it.
So you've even been helping people that are in like physique competitions and stuff like that too?
Yes. Yeah, I have been. That's because that's
tough. You know, it's tough to get those people super lean and still have them feeling good going into the competition, because a lot of times the calories are usually brought way down, but you have a little bit different technique.
Oh, it's crazy. Like, and the mental health, and then the girls do the bikini comps traditionally on their traditional starvation diets, and then as soon as the curtains close for the stage, they go back and they've got their cheat meal going, and their face just blows up in hours, and their gut comes out, and these girls just feel mentally wrecked. They go from looking their best and to like the next day just feeling absolute garbage and feel bloated and stuff, and their aldosterone levels are tweaked, and they just then the binge cycle starts, and they just become this binge purge athlete. And I'd like to stop with that. One, I think the bikini comps, you got girls running diuretics and stuff and trying to get too lean. I'm like, come on, like, I don't think women should crash the estrogen that low. There's going to be a lot more consequences to that. So again, that's another debate with the pharmaceutical aspect and the tradition of being super, super androgenic looking. That standard, I think that's unrealistic. So, But yeah, a lot of girls I work with, they end up quitting that bikini comp stuff because they realise like to compete at a certain level, isn't probably the healthiest thing. But then what they find is that they got into bikini comps to get a certain aesthetic, and then they're doing my protocols and like, actually year round I'm looking fantastic. Why do I want to push that extreme envelope and feel, and just sort of like, lose my hair because I'm doing Anavar as a woman and things like that. So then they start to go, actually consciously, I want to just look great all year long, and this is serving my need. So that's what I generally find is girls get into bikini comps because they want to get the photos, they want to get that small waist, but then they do my protocols and they can maintain that sort of stage look or close to that year round, virtuously, effortlessly by eating what I'm recommending. So then they quit the competitive aspect and just look great all year long. Like if you look at my girlfriends over the years, they all get looking amazing, or they just get looking better. So yeah.
When it comes to blood work, have you been able to assist people, where they come to you and they're like, man, my blood work's a mess, I have A, B, and C, and then you're able to help them with some of your diet information?
Oh, for sure. Like I'll have people come. Yeah, I've been putting my blood tests up on YouTube since 2009, and I've put up so much blood tests. I used to really hate drawing blood, and now I'm just like, yeah, go for it. Stick the needle in and pull it out. Blood work's great, but it doesn't show you everything. For me, cardio tests like VO2 max and your 5,000 meter time indicate more what's going on. But yeah, definitely people come to me with blood work. I read blood tests almost every day and give people advice and recommendations on that. Even, I even got some doctors who show me their blood tests. I'm like, Harley, what can I do here? And I'm like, okay. I have doctors coming to me for weight loss and health advice. I'm like, you didn't learn it at university? I'm like, no, we didn't. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And, and I'm in access with a lot of doctors because of cycling and running. A lot of doctors and, a lot of runners, a lot of doctors are into cycling and running, and dentists and stuff as well. So I get to work with a lot of different people. And it's amazing the things you can't talk about.
And what about your glucose levels and stuff like that? What about your sugar levels for you personally and some of the people that you help? Because that's always the comments, right? People are always like, "Oh my God, you're going to give yourself diabetes and everything else," right?
Yeah, and that's again, that's how I got into this lifestyle. Was working with diabetics, and they're just telling me about insulin sensitivity, and my friend Scott back in late 90s, he was picking my finger with a glucose pin thing, testing my blood sugar, explaining what insulin resistance is, insulin sensitivity, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. I got him into bike racing, and he was telling me how good his insulin sensitivity was after a 1 hour bike race. For the next few days, his insulin sensitivity was better. So yeah, this is all back with science and facts and real world stuff. And if you look at when they do these diabetic drug research laboratories where they have these monkeys, these animals, this animal testing insanity, they feed the monkeys a high-fat diet to give the monkeys diabetes, a high-fat and high-protein diet. And if they give the monkeys a high-carbohydrate, low-fat diet, they can't get these monkeys to be diabetic, type 2 diabetic. And so they have to feed these monkeys excess fat to cut insulin resistance levels so they can test the diabetes drugs. So it's crazy. So that's, I've been doing blood sugar since 99, 98, and posting that online as well from 2009 onwards. But yeah, this is the proof's in the pudding, the vegan low-fat sugar pudding. That the less fat you eat, the less protein you eat, the better your insulin sensitivity, the better your sugars will be. And again, and glycated hemoglobin, HA1C, that can go up in athletes because when you go and do an intense workout, like if you go to the gym and you're smashing out reps, your blood sugar's spiking. If you go and do a 5,000 meter run all out, your blood sugar's through the roof. And so if you're doing a lot of training, a lot of weights, a lot of cardio, your blood sugar, your HA1C is generally going to go up. So that's why the old glucose tolerance test is the ultimate in terms of insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance. So looking at HA1C, it's not really that accurate, because if you're an athlete, it's probably going to go up. You know, and you think, hang on, I'm doing all these healthy things, my A1C is going up. It's like, yeah, because your blood sugars get higher when you're an athlete, because your body's dumping in sugar to feed the muscles, etc. So yeah, that's why
I want to make sure that we. Okay.
So the best test for diabetes, insulin resistance, is the old glucose tolerance test, where you have like 100 grams of glucose, then test your sugar an hour later, 2 hours later. And that's what you can do at home with a CGM in your arm, a glucose meter. Anyone can do that. So all those people out there who do a keto diet, they're type 2 diabetic. And the proof of that is when they do an old glucose tolerance test, they get bad results. So even though their A1C might be lower, or their fasting sugars might be okay, once they actually have some sugar in there, 100 grams or whatever, boom, the diabetes comes out. Just like saying you've healed your injury. Like, I've healed my rotator cuff. Okay, I do overhead shoulders. Nah, that rotator cuff's still cooked. So yeah.
When it comes to people that are shifting over to doing some of your protocols and following along with what you promote on YouTube, do sometimes those people, do they need to start kind of slowly and then kind of, get into the diet, or can they just kind of start right away and start eating like a lot of calories and a lot of sugar?
You just got to go all in. Because if you don't go all in, you're going to be eating like fatty food, and that's just going to block your insulin sensitivity. You just got to go all in. It's not like with sport. Like if you're going to go to the gym, you got to go easy, because your shoulders, your tendons, they're going to take years to adapt to that. If you're a runner, you got to get your shins strong, and if you're a cyclist, maybe your posture and your neck and stuff. But with nutrition, you go all in on that day. And if you're a diabetic, you're going to get the best results, because your insulin sensitivity is just going to spike, on this lifestyle, this sugar lifestyle, this ultra low fat, low protein lifestyle. Your insulin sensitivity is going to be so enhanced, and you're going to feel better on the first day. So people are like, I've got to do a detox. I'm going to do no. That's just no. Not in my experience. Decades coaching people, all in. It's like going to bed early. Should I just I go to bed at 3 a.m. Should I go to bed at like 2:30 a.m.? No, just go to bed at 8 o'clock, man. 8 p.m. and just go with that. When it comes to health, the body's always waiting to do the right things, It's always the right time to do the right thing when it comes to the body. So no, go all in. Go all in, when it comes to nutrition.
You've talked about going to bed early a lot. I've heard you mention it a bunch of times. Is that something that you do religiously, or are you always in bed by 8, 9 p.m.?
No, I'm pretty bad with that, and I'm pretty bad with that because
it does help your insulin resistance, or your insulin sensitivity, rather.
It does, yeah. I mean, if you want to look fresh-faced, some people are like, Harley, you look old. I am old. I'm very lean, but I go to bed quite late often because I'm like doing things.
You're like 50-something, right? 52?
Almost 50. No, almost 50.
Okay.
And so it's like, if you want to have the freshest face, go to bed like 8 o'clock. Right? There's no doubt about that. And if you want to maximize weight loss, insulin sensitivity, go to bed 8, 9 o'clock for sure. But that's something I recommend. I don't actually walk that talk that much, but if I want to do a PR, or if I want to absolutely feel my best, then 8, 9 o'clock, that's the go. That's the go. But I find, because of my lifestyle, I work for myself, I can get a nap whenever I want, then for me it's not as important. It would still be beneficial if I did, but it's not as important. But if you want to maximize your life productivity, then go to bed earlier is where it's at, for sure.
Have you ever had a regular job?
Yeah. I worked as a personal trainer in the gyms. I worked in the sports stores as a shoe salesperson. I worked as a clown. I've worked a lot of different jobs over the years. But I worked for myself for the last...
It's nice being able to set your own schedule, and especially when you're an athlete and you're doing a lot of your own stuff. How long have you been an entrepreneur for?
Last 20 years, last 2 decades. I had a situation where I got hit by a bus, and so I couldn't work for a bit, and I was living on welfare. And I was like, okay. So I was camping out. I was homeless for a bit there, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. I was just sleep on the beaches and that. And I had a lot of time to read and help people. and I was very, very time rich. I was very, very money poor, but I was massively time rich. This is 20 years ago when the internet was just early days regarding social media. So I was on the forums, I was coaching people for free, and just coaching hundreds of people every month just for free. And so I'd learn so rapidly. I'd hear people's stories, and I'd be reading blood tests, and I'd be like, hang on, you say you're a vegan and you're 200 pounds and you're 5 foot, lady, but your uric acid's way too high to be a vegan. So, oh yeah, well, I'd have my chicken every night. I'm like, come on. And so we have all these stories and stuff. So you get to learn a lot about people, and people will tell you what they want you to hear, but the blood tests say otherwise, or their body size says otherwise. Yeah, so you learn people, fudge the boundaries there. So yeah, I've had normal jobs, and if you have a normal job where you're working for someone else, this lifestyle still suits you because you'll be more productive at work. Or maybe now you'll have the more energy to break off from your normal job and do that entrepreneur gig you want to do. Maybe you want to be doing crochet cardigans or whatever, and you didn't have the energy to actually break through to do that and commit to that. And now on the sugar life, you're like, I'm sleeping better, my mood's better, I believe in myself, got the confidence. Life's all about energy. Life's all about energy. Again, I've got no stimulants in my system. I had 2.5 hours sleep yesterday. I'm pinging.
And sugar is everywhere, so it's not like it's hard to get. So if you have like a 9-to-5 job, or you're a trucker, or whatever you might be doing, you could stop at literally any convenience store and get all kinds of different drinks or juices, or bring stuff from your own house, a banana, an apple, whatever it might be. There's sugar everywhere.
Yeah, straight up facts, Mark. Like the sun's about to come up here in Australia. It's like I could go to a cafe and there'd be sugar in the cup, in the coffee things. And I just grab some of those. People, yeah, no worries. Sugar's everywhere. Sugar's life. Photosynthesis. So yeah, it's so easy to do. You can always have some lollies, some gummies with you, some lollies, some juice, some sugar. It's such an easy thing to do. Never go hungry. Never get hangry.
I want to make sure we don't miss what you were telling us about calories. That part got broken up, maybe a little too much. And so I've seen you, downing these 2,000 calorie smoothies. Do you not count calories, and you don't maybe adhere to that part of it for your plan?
Yeah, I don't count calories anymore. I recommend people do count calories maybe at the start to understand how much volume they do need. Like say someone wants to go to work that day and they want to bring food from home because they want to save money. How much food do they need to bring? I'm like, well, okay, you're doing an 8-hour shift. I'd recommend bring at least 500 to 800 grams of sugars, in table sugar, in fruit, in some lollies. So if you're a retail worker and you've got that 8-hour shift and you're eating 500 to 800 grams of sugar that day, if you're doing commission-based sales, you're going to crush it, man, because you're not going to be fading as much. Your mood won't be fading. You just have that more staying power. So that's where I recommend counting calories, but just so you get enough fuel so you can keep on cranking. But it's not about going, well, I've overeaten my calories today. No. I don't recommend that. And this is where I lose people, because we're taught like calories in, calories out, all this stuff. And that's, in my opinion, that has a little bit of premise, but it's largely, in my opinion, a little conspiracy theory here, designed to get people fixated on calories matter and macros don't. Hormones don't matter, calories matter. And hormones matter the most when it comes to weight loss, weight gain. Anyone who's ran cycles understands that. So it's just, I don't recommend people count calories for the weight loss thing. I recommend people count grams of sugar. So hey, I got an 8-hour shift today. I'm only bringing 200 grams of sugar to work. I'm doing 8 hours. 200 grams ain't going to cut it. Some of the athletes at work where they're doing 250 grams of sugar an hour, and some of the best cyclists in the world doing that. So I had Cam Worth recently doing the Ironman. He did 200 grams of sugar an hour. So, and a lot of athletes have been doing this for a while. This isn't new stuff, but the media's just reporting it now. So I don't recommend counting calories, but count carbs. So you get enough, and learn how to count fat, read ingredients and go, wow, this has got 10 grams of fat per serve. I want to have 55 serves, so that's 50 grams of fat. I want to have lean abs. This food ain't going to cut it for me. So I'd say stop counting calories, count macros. The less fat you eat, the better insulin sensitivity. The less protein you eat, the better your insulin sensitivity. The more carbs you eat, as much as you want, the better your life is, the better insulin sensitivity is. So, yeah, you just got to do it, jump in, all in, and give it a crack. and stop counting calories, start counting macros. And that shifts the whole paradigm of weight loss. And people see me and think, oh, this guy's grotesquely lean. His abs, I've got veins everywhere. Disgusting. Okay, cool. But weight loss, man, this is where it's at. Okay. So again, if you're getting too lean on this lifestyle, then just eat more fat and protein. So yeah.
Somebody listening that maybe wants to start this, let's say they weigh like 100 kilos or 220 pounds or something like that. Where would they start with their fat grams? Where would they start? I realize it varies for each person. And where would they start with like their protein, just kind of in general, just to kind of get them started?
Well, it depends if they're 5 foot or 6 foot at 100 kilos. But I would say if the goal is fat loss, then try to keep your fat as low as you can. If you can do 8 grams a day, that's better than 10 grams a day. Like, get obsessive about fat intake. And with protein, get obsessive about that as well. Just drop the protein right down, and the weight loss will just peel off you. So yeah.
Something I've noticed for me is that, you know, if you're going to try to keep your protein super high and you're trying to keep your fat super low, it's almost impossible to do, because then you have to just like eat shrimp and scallops. Like, there's only a certain amount of, you know, for me, I'm a meat eater still.
Yeah.
There's only certain foods that you can eat that don't have an abundance of fat in them. So keeping the fat and protein down is actually super convenient. And I found it like liberating in a lot of ways to not have to, you know, be scouring over like just this protein thing all day, every day, because it can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like this. And then there's the health issues of how, is excess protein good for us or not, and there's that debate. But in terms of weight loss, you know, protein is anabolic. So I have these girls out there they want to get a tiny waist. They want to maximize their OnlyFans revenue, so they want to get their waist smaller. I'm like, well, lessen the protein so you got less bloat on your stomach, girl. And then they do that, and they're like, well, my waist is coming in. You know, I'm getting more, PPV dollars and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just, you know, less protein is less weight. So it depends on the person's goal. So that person's 100 kilos, I'm going to say, you know, keep your protein around 20, 30 grams a day. Just as little as you can. And have a diet based on fresh fruit, dried fruit, frozen fruit, white rice, sugar, and candy lollies. Fat-free stuff. In Australia, we call them lollies, gummies. In the US, candy. So yeah, but then candy can be chocolate, and I don't recommend that. So the less fat we eat, the less protein we eat, the less we weigh. And the better.
When you started this diet like 20 years ago, were your carbohydrates less? Are you able to eat way more now because you've been on the diet for so long?
I eat less at the moment because I'm not training like I used to. Like, I used to be a crazy on the bike. I'll be doing like, 2,000 kilometers a week there for sometimes. So now I don't ride that much because I'm choosing to work more and help people more and coach people. So my energy goes into people versus the road like it used to. So I don't eat as much as I used to because I don't have the hunger for it. Like, if I'm doing 200 Ks a day on the bike, you get freaking hungry. So yeah. So I don't eat as much as I. Your
tolerance probably went up though, like over the years before you decided to like back off a little bit of your activity. I'm sure your tolerance for carbohydrates probably has increased a bit.
Well, carbohydrate tolerance comes in a few days. You know, once you start reducing your fat and protein intake, your carbohydrate tolerance goes up because your insulin sensitivity goes up. And carbohydrate tolerance is insulin sensitivity. And then if you're getting fitter, you're getting your VO2 max is coming up, or you're getting stronger in the gym, then obviously your carbohydrate, your tolerance, insulin sensitivity is going to go up. We know that the stronger you get, more insulin sensitivity you get. The fitter you get, the more insulin sensitivity you get. The lower your fat and protein intake, the more insulin sensitivity you get. So yeah, it's this whole thing, it's just the energy you get, the confidence you get, the you make more money, and you say this lifestyle is so cheap. It's so cheap. Anyone can do it. This isn't an exclusive thing. This is so cheap. Like, yeah, this is the entrepreneur diet. Like, because your energy's there, and you're not relying on stimulants for energy. Maybe you use stims here and there, but you don't rely on them. You don't rely on them. Like, back in the day, I used to rely on stims, but now it's like, I find now, the harder I want to work, the more stress I'm going to have that day, I don't use stims. If I'm going to have a really, really stressful day, I've got to deal with a certain person or certain situation, I'm like, this is going to be stressful, I don't use any stims because the stress of the work that day will provide the cortisol. If I throw stims in there, that can elevate the cortisol to an amount where I'm like, feel like I'm not in full control, and I'm a control freak. So by not using stims, I can find I can control my own cortisol, and using sugar as well, I can control my cortisol to perfection. So my reaction to these people or individuals or situation isn't too excessive. So I don't make any mistakes. So yeah, I love the control you get not having to rely on stimulants. When I do use stimulants, I use like a super small dosage first thing in the morning after I've had my sugars and after my cortisol dropped off, and then after a while, wash it out of my system, I'm back to normal. But otherwise, not much stims. But yeah, this is the entrepreneur diet. Super cheap, super easy, super accessible, and the meal prep is so easy. Rice cooker, fruit, lollies, boom, 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 easy done.
Anything special you're doing pre or post workout or intra workout? Do you consume carbs intra workout?
Yeah, sugar and water. Just table sugar and water. Shake it up, skull it down. Yeah, that's my thing. Jelly beans. But yeah, sugar and water is like that's the ultimate. Yeah, the world's fastest runners are using sugar and water. Oh yeah, I mean calories, but yeah, I don't even I rarely use the word calories. Carbs in, get some sugars in, because some people get calories in. I know, drink some oil or some olive oil or eat something that's fatty, and you get your calories in, but your performance is going to suffer because where's the sugar? Where's the sugar? So yeah, I cycled across Australia before as a solo rider, no support vehicle, just riding my bike Adelaide to Perth, and you learn about sugar there. When you run out of sugar, you run out of mojo. So yeah.
What about like bread and pasta and cereal, stuff like that? Are those things that you eat too?
Yeah, definitely. Bread, you got to watch bread a bit because it can have a lot of oil in there, or maybe a bit excess salt. So if someone's got high blood pressure, then the bread might be best to avoid for a bit until the blood pressure comes down. But yeah, cereal is good. Oats, oats are good. But personally, I prefer my cereal is rice with water and sugar. So have some white rice, organic if you can get it. White rice with sugar and water, and it's like a bland meal. Well, we're still there.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, my screen freezed up, but so yeah,
sugar and water, huh?
Yes, rice, sugar, and water as a dinner. Everyone should have that for dinner at least once in their life. Just cook white rice, and sugar and water as much as you want. And so you cook the rice in the rice cooker, put it in your bowl, put some water on there, put the sugar as much sugar as you want on there. Eat that. People look at you like you're going crazy, but that is the meal of performance. All right. If you want to have a dinner meal, a cheat code. White rice, sugar and water for dinner. Maybe some cinnamon on top if you want. Eat that. You'll feel like a peasant, but next day you'll be performing like a king. You'll just be on top of your game. White rice, sugar, like in the gym.
It sounds like it would be tasty.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's like, I have that, yeah. Whenever I have my best day next day, performance-wise, white rice, sugar, and water. As much as you want. So yeah,
amazing. Where can people find out more about you? I know that you have your protocols on your website, and then you also sell sneakers, right? You sell shoes.
Oh, that's just like a hobby I've been doing for 30 years. That's not really
but plug it, fuck it.
Yeah, just a bit of a sneakerhead. So yeah, a bit of a sneakerhead, Tinker Hatfield fan. If you know, you know. But yeah, Durianrider. Just Google up Durianrider. You come up with all sorts of, dramas and controversies and nutrition facts and all sorts of things. And yeah, I love social media. It's amazing. I coach people on social media. That's probably my best gift is creating celebrities on social media. And that's another thing as well is the sugar lifestyle lets you deal with social disapproval. Because now we live in the internet age. And if you've got kids, if people have got kids out there, your kids are getting bullied online. They'd be getting, groomed badly online by people. So teaching the kids the importance of sugar and cortisol reduction to deal with mental health benefits or mental health situations is so important. It's so important. So sugar is critical. If you want to be good on social media, you got to have sugar, because what if you get some fame, you get some haters, and people make up some stuff about you on Reddit or whatever? How you gonna deal with that? You know, or you got some work colleagues at work giving you crap. So we live in a social media age where, yeah, you can get cancelled at any moment, or people try and cancel you or whatever, or something can happen. You need sugar to deal with that. So that's what I've learned a lot with social media last few decades of being on here. Sugar really helps with that. It helps with success on social media. So the first thing I teach people when coaching with social media is like, you've got to have enough sugar to be in this game. Otherwise, the critics, the haters, they're gonna get the best of you.
What are your thoughts about the enhanced games? Have you heard about that?
Well, the enhanced games is Olympic Games, but the enhanced games.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
True.
So I think the enhanced games is cool. I haven't heard much about it recently. I've been looking it up, but in the sports of cardio or strength, nobody's winning Olympic gold without hormones. For the last 60 years or so, hormones create gold medals. So so we have the Olympic Games, which is the enhanced.
The enhanced games. It's gonna be hard to break world records in the enhanced games, since the Olympic records are enhanced as well.
Exactly. So, and then you got these athletes, these super freaks out there, because obviously to be to be the world's best, you need drugs, but you also need to have crazy genetics and luck and training and consistency. The enhanced games, I'll be surprised if they break any records, because the best drugs were used by the best athletes for the current world records. So and why would
Any plans?
athlete want to have that social disapproval of publicly being on juice?
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that. Most of them wouldn't.
Any plans on competing again sometime soon?
I compete every week. Yeah. Like this year, I want to set a marathon PR. I'm not the best athlete. I'm far from that. Genetically, I'm pretty average. But I've been able to be sort of weekend warrior competitive because of these protocols. I advise some of the best cyclists runners in the world who have crazy genetics. They're age 18 and their VO2 max is like over 80. They're freaks. So, and they just do incredibly well in this lifestyle. And you see how much sugar they're eating. Like the current cyclist out there now who's cranking it, Tadej Pogacar, you ask him who influenced him to eat this much sugar, So it's crazy. Now with social media, anyone can become an influencer and have influence. And because, it's interesting. It's amazing times, and you never know who you're going to help out there, and even the documentary, Bigger, Faster, Stronger, you bro and that doing that, like what an epic documentary, man. Like that's the truth out there. I watched that so long ago, and I tell that documentary to people all the time. Go watch Bigger, Faster, Stronger. That opens your eyes to what's going on out there. Like that Bigger, Faster, Stronger, that documentary is like everybody on the planet should watch that documentary, literally, because it just shows the facts, what's going on out there with PEDs and hormones and stuff, and people are oblivious to that. And so they'll be following these influencers out there who claim natty, and they're not, and people are like, oh, I'm not getting any results, I'm not getting swole. It's like, yeah, bro, because you're not on trend, and your influencer friend is. Oh, no, they're natural. It's like, no, man, that dude's on trend, And I'm buying all these supplements and getting the workout programs. I look like nothing. It's like, because you're not on trend. So it just creates this body dysmorphia. But yeah, Bigger, Faster, Stronger, amazing documentary. It inspired me a lot to get out there and push truth as well.
I think my brother and I will have to do another documentary. Maybe it'll be Bigger, Faster, Sugar.
Yeah, and this is like the anti-sugar movement. I mean, a conspiracy theory warning coming up, but it makes sense to have people scared of sugar, because when you don't have enough sugar, you have more fatigue, and when you have more fatigue, you buy more shit, you use more stimulants, you use more alcohol, you drive a car more because you don't want to walk or ride, or you're using more electricity, you're using more stuff, you spend more money. The less sugar you eat, the more shit you need to get your daily life, because you're fatigued. You need more help, and that requires monies. So it fuels economies. When you go to Asia or Africa, where people eat carbs all day and don't know what a calorie is, and they're lean and they're healthy, they ride the bike around, they walk around, they carry things in their head, and they have amazing mobility and amazing aesthetics naturally. and they're smashing the sugars. They don't have the fear of sugar. But then they get TikTok in their hand or Instagram in their hand or the smartphone, and it says, don't eat sugar from some influencer. And they're like, oh, okay, that person's got 1 million subscribers. I won't eat sugar now. And then their life falls apart. And then they get sucked into that rabbit hole of just misery, sugar phobia. So yeah, it's sugar liberation. Life's meant to be sweet. And we call people affectionate, oh, honey, sweetie, you know, sweet and juicy. No one wants to be called fatty or, wow, you remind me of a piece of tuna. Like, you know, you're sweet. Such a sweet girl, you know. You taste like peaches versus you taste like tuna or something. Like, it's just, it's a weird, you know. But that's another vegan topic. But yeah, I also recommend people just experiment with vegan as well. Like, I'm not saying you have to go vegan, but if you want to maximize weight loss, then I'd recommend have a bit of a little vegan holiday where you just live on plants and see how you go. And then I find most people who go vegan for a bit think, okay, I don't want to be vegan full time, but I'm definitely going to eat more vegan because I realise maybe I don't need to eat as much meat, and then it starts to cascade from there. So, but what the vegan thing gets some bad publicity because a lot of people with eating disorders go into vegan world because it enhances weight loss, but also the vegan thing can mask their eating disorder, and then they can go to a family reunion or a family event and don't have to eat because, oh, there's nothing vegan here, I can't eat anything. So then their eating disorder gets bad, worse and worse and worse, and then they end up in hospital or whatever. And the doctor's like, oh, because you're a vegan. It's like, no, they're vegan because they got anorexia, you know. So yeah, some of the best athletes in the world are vegan, in the closet, and all their performances are vegan that day or that week or that month. So yeah, vegan is good, but just get enough carbs, people. Don't fear the carbs. Don't fear the carbs.
Thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for getting up early and hustling out to the park there to film with us today.
No worries. You know, again, it's purpose. You know, like when you create purpose in life, you can step up and get it done. I appreciate it, Mark. You're doing great things, man.
Yeah,
you're a real truth seeker. You're just, you know, you're putting it out there. You're very transparent and you're very humble. And you've got a great show here, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, Mark. Talk again.